Hello, everybody. Thank you for watching. It is the American Doofus Show. Don't be a doofus. We don't tell you what to think. We just give you things to think about. Tonight, well, we're going to be joined once again by Kendrick Wilson. Kendrick, how are you, sir?
I'm good, sir. How about yourself?
I'm all right. I'm all right. Glad to have you with us.
Yeah, it's good to be back on here, man. I really got appreciation for your work. I think you do some great journalism, and I think you do a good show. So it feels good to be back on a good platform that I feel is pretty fair and honest.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I want to start out with three things that I saw somewhere, and I want to give a white guy perspective to all three things real quick, and then have you kind of talk about each one. Okay. I saw a picture of a white t-shirt with black KKK with your name and two other names across the top of it. First thing I thought when I saw it as a white guy is he's trying to take the power away from KKK, like what happened with the N-word. And the second thing I wanted to mention was having a black police cadet on an episode. I thought you were trying to show that not all cops are bad, especially black cops, because I've been talking with a black police officer, he was a former officer, and trying to get him to come on and talk about things. And it's incredibly hard because they join the force, want to do the right thing, and then find out the system's not always it wasn't how they thought. Anyway, that's a whole different episode. And that really is. That's a whole nother thing we could talk about. The third thing I want to talk about, the Proud Boys shirt. My initial response was when I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, she's giving the middle finger to Black Power. And then I looked at the shirt. I'm sorry, but that really was, I'm just being straight up. And then I looked at the picture closer. And you're looking down at the Proud Boys shirt with the presidents, the Republican presidents, giving them the finger, saying it's actually Black Power. That's the white guy perspective from those three things. Those three things have been controversial. I just wanted to address them right off the bat, have you address them, and then we move on to important stuff. Is that okay?
Sure. Yes, sir.
All right.
Stuff. Well, the first thing I will address that your white guy perspective is pretty good. You got it right with the KKK. As far as what I was doing, you're right. I was trying to basically turn something that's been so negative, which those three letters, so frightening, into something positive, something that people can take and look into what I was saying, because the actual letters KKK is deeper than just getting your attention. It's something that's already gotten the world's attention.
Oh, absolutely.
And so what I did was the three letters on my shirt, what it stood for was for Kendrick, Kwame Brown, and Kanye West. Each of our names stand for, each of our names starts with a K. Mm-hmm. So two other people that I don't agree with 100% on everything that they say, but I love the fact that they are not controlled.
Afraid to say it. They're strong enough to say it.
Right. So I feel like Kwame Brown is not controlled. I feel like Kanye West is not controlled. And I know myself, I'm not controlled. And I feel like we're trying to open the eyes of our culture. So what I did is I took the three letters of our name, each starting with a K, and I flipped. And I think people should zero in on people like me, Kanye West, and Kwame Brown, because I think the culture, not just Black people, white people, could learn a lot from the way us three Black men have spoken up and the things we've stood up to.
Okay. Now the second one, the Black police cadet.
And like you said, not to cut you off, but also it is the analogy that you use is one that I use. Just like, Black people say the N-word, they took a word that was so negative and they flipped it and just turned it into an everyday cool points word. And that's what I did with the three letters. So you got it absolutely 100% right.
Okay. All right. Cool. one for white guy perspective. The second one, having a black police cadet on?
So it's funny that it outside looking in, they really don't know what's going on.
And that's what
So
I am. I'm an outside observer, obviously, but I
right,
try to be a complete fair one and let everybody have their voice.
right. So that black police officer that I interviewed at another friend's house. A lot of people think that was my house. It wasn't my house. It was another friend's house. That black police officer, he hadn't made it all the way to being on the streets as a police. He was going through the academy. So that police officer, he was out there with me while I was protesting. He was out there protesting. So we had this idea that he's going to get in and see if things are corrupt as possible, right? And so he started making his way through and actually started, almost got to the point to where he got the badge and was out on the street. But believe it or not, that guy is a childhood friend of mine. We got over like 25 years of friendship in, and we grew up together. You know what I'm saying? So started off at the protest with me. You see what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, he been knowing what I've been going through because I've been fighting Hankinson since 2016. This guy's been right there. He's out at the clubs and everything while this stuff was happening. And you know, before Breonna got killed, I wasn't super public about what was going on with me and Hankinson. But my friends, him, the guy that you called the cadet, they knew about it. So he came from an angle. He said, I'm going to get in there. I'm going to see if this stuff is as corrupt as people make it out to be.
Gotcha.
So he put himself to get in there. And then what they found out is I was getting information. I knew about certain things, and they was trying to figure out where it was coming from. And that same officer was with me when we was at a party. And Brett Hankinson's confidential informants. This is after he killed Breonna. We had captured her on video because she told us that she was about to take a headache pill and she was going to sniff it. And we was like, that's weird. You're going to sniff a headache pill? And so we recorded her sniffing this headache pill. And I posted it on the internet to show the world, like, okay, this girl's Brett Hankinson's confidential informant. But meanwhile, it looks like she's doing cocaine, in my opinion, but she said it was a headache pill. And you can see that that black police officer in the video. So the Louisville Metro Police Department, when they found out that we had captured this informant on video sniffing cocaine, instead of addressing the fact that one of Hankinson's informants got caught sniffing cocaine, they took and fired him when, you know, he had nothing to do with nothing. And they never even gave him a reason for firing him, but that was the reason.
Wow. Wow. Now, see, it's important that these things come out, you know, and okay, the Proud Boys shirt.
The Proud Boys shirt. I'm glad you asked these questions, man. It's very important. Believe it or not, that Proud Boys shirt was a gift to me from Muhammad Ali's nephew. So Muhammad Ali's nephew gave me that shirt with a couple other shirts, and there's a message on it because a lot of us, we think the Proud Boys are 3%ers or this or that or whatever you think the Proud Boys is. And the shirt gives you the identity of who the true Proud Boys are. And it has the presidents on there, the people who play and stuff. And he's like, the message is they the Proud Boys. So I'm showcasing as a black man, once again, another shirt that's meant to catch your attention. But what I'm saying is you read the title Proud Boys and then you see the picture. These are the real Proud Boys.
Okay. All right. Yeah. It's like art, you know, it's like when you express yourself artistically, different perspectives see things from different, you know, they see different things. Sometimes they see what they want to see instead of seeing what the real message is.
And see, with me, Doofus, I communicate a lot with symbolism. See, I can say a lot of things, but I communicate backdrops, everything. I have symbolism with a lot of things that I do. Like when I gave the interview, after I dropped the body cam footage, me and my girlfriend, we had gave an interview, and my girlfriend was holding an AR-15 handgun, right? She was holding that. And a lot of people was like, why is she holding that handgun? And they was making fun of her. But what they didn't understand, that was my message to the police department. I know y'all secret. I know there was an AR-15 handgun involved. And so that's why she was holding that, because it was a secret message to the police department that I know there was an AR-15 handgun involved, and I'm going to tell the world.
Wow. Okay. All right. Again, important we get this stuff out here because this isn't a game. You know, there are websites, platforms, whatever you want to call it, that, they get all excited about throwing dirt and tearing people down and making money off of doing that. And it's what's going on is affecting people's lives. It's not a game. Everything that we talk about is very much real.
No, you're 100%. It's not a game, and it definitely affecting people's life with bad reporting. A lot of people don't understand, man. I didn't go to college. I didn't have a college degree, but I put myself in position to where I was making over 100,000 a year legally, and I've lost all of that. I lost everything because I chose to stand up for Breonna Taylor. I've lost it all. I lost my job at Ford Motor Company. I lost my business. I owned a barbershop. It wasn't no small barbershop. I owned one of the biggest barbershops in Louisville. I lost it all. My house was a brand new house when they ran in my house. Those officers that killed Breonna, they ran in my house 7 months before they hit Breonna's house, destroyed my property, destroyed my cars. So I've lost a lot. And a lot of people don't understand the story and they're reporting it completely wrong. So I appreciate you taking the opportunity to clear some things up. That's one thing about you and coming on your show. What you don't know, you're not afraid to let me know you don't know. And you ask the question to try to get some understanding, not only for yourself, but for your viewers. And I appreciate that.
Well, thank you very much. And it's done out of respect. I try to respect everybody that comes on the show, and it's done out of letting people tell their truth, which
and I will say,
and if I do any, I don't have to say this because you're a strong Black man, but I'm going to say it just for the viewers. If I ask anything that you don't want to answer, just say, I don't want to answer that.
Right. And there's nothing wrong with anything you ask. You can ask me anything, and I'm man enough to say I don't want to answer. And there's not too many questions that I'm not going to answer. But I will say this, as you being a white man, you catch a lot of heat just for being white, because there is a lot of white media outlets, as far as mainstream media, that reports things completely wrong, 100% wrong. And so with you being, a YouTuber, you're catching some of that drift that you report things wrong. But I will say this from my experience, when it comes to the YouTube world, I see a lot of people who got the same color skin as me, and they are doing what mainstream white media does. And they're painting bad pictures of Black people. They're misleading people. They're getting the stories all the way wrong. They're not doing their research at all. And with you being a white man, and don't take this the wrong way, I would expect that coming from a white man to do that, especially when it's on a Taylor story versus somebody that got the same color skin as me. And I just want to say this, I have a new appreciation for you because I went on your show back last year. I came on your show. I've not seen you snake me not one time or say anything wrong about what I said. If you didn't know, you called me, or you try to get the answers before you put it out there. But when I go and interview with the people who got the same color skin as me, what I'm saying is these people, they got the YouTube channels, but they haven't done no research. They don't have any answers on anything. And then their questions are almost the type questions that are more geared towards getting me in trouble versus the people who actually went out and did what they did to Breonna Taylor. So from me to you, I appreciate you keeping it real raw and honest with me.
Well, thank you, man. Thank you. And I appreciate you coming on and being honest with me and with our viewers. How did you get involved with the Breonna Taylor case? Give the viewers a little bit of history.
So like I said before, it all started with me back in 2016. And like I said, I had a history with Brett Hankerson. And what happened, me and Brett Hankerson had a few different girls around town. Just so happened, I was a ladies' man. I was running around 2016, in and out the clubs and stuff like that. I had a nice little ring to my name because I'm up and coming boxer here locally. I had been seen with Floyd Mayweather. I had took pictures with a lot of different celebrities. So of course, the girls here locally, they looking at me like I'm about to be a superstar soon. And next thing you know, before you know it, I had hooked up with a few different girls. And these girls, they was on Brett Hankerson's team. And next thing you know, Brett, he hated me for that. And he started coming after me. And I had a night to where me and his main girl had hooked up. And he found out about these things. And of course, he wouldn't address me man to man about it. So what he did is he took advantage of his badge. Every time he would see me out, he started to plant drugs on me. He planted drugs on me twice, or accused me of having drugs. And then next thing you know, I had caught cases. And then he tried to stick another charge on me as far as in the club when I was simply self-defending myself. He just started doing things to attack me and try to get me arrested. And
okay. Let's clear up, just for viewers that don't know, who Brett Hankerson is. I'm going to say, if you know Derek Chauvin in Minneapolis, Minnesota, from the George Floyd case, you know Brett Hankerson.
Right. So Brett Hankerson is the officer that was charged with the wanton endangerment charges in the Breonna Taylor case. I'm of the belief that he's one of the main officers that took Breonna Taylor's life, but that's another story. But just know he's the main suspect in the Breonna Taylor case. He's the only officer called charges.
When you say the girls you hooked up with were on Brett Hankerson's team, was he pimping them out, or was he seeing them?
So Brett Hankerson, there's proof out there, and it's yet to come out, that there's evidence out there. I know 100% that Brett Hankerson was pimping them out or running the escorting ring. But the proof has not been put out there because the people that know about it, they're scared to put it out there.
Okay, right. I just want to clear it up for this conversation for the viewers. What, you know.
Right. So me and Sam Aguiar, we had conversation about this. Sam was scared to put it out there. So I used the word allegedly. Brett Hankerson was allegedly running the escorting ring and pimping girls out, allegedly. But at the end of the day, like I said, it was his main chick that I hooked up with. And he started coming after me. Sticking charges on me. And so I was beating the charges, and I was on grand jury trial for the last charge where he had planted drugs on me. That this is all on video too. I was on grand jury trial fighting this last case, and then he killed Breonna Taylor. So when he had killed Breonna Taylor and I'm on trial, like, that's a big deal because now I'm his luggage. Like, people like you who's looking into Hankerson, you're going to see my name. And so 7 months, prior, before they killed Breonna, they had ran in my house too. To this day, a lot of people don't know this. They ran in my house. They gave me papers of a fake search warrant. I've never been to court for it. I didn't get arrested for it. And they just tore up all my property and stuff. And to this day, nobody can explain, why haven't y'all cut me a check for damage in my house, damage in my cars, damage in my business? Because they ran in my business. They came and got me a Ford Motor Company and destroyed my house all in one night and destroyed my business. I've never been to court for it, never charges for it. But somehow, some way, they've gotten away with this. And so I slapped a federal lawsuit on them for that. And Derby weekend in Louisville, when nobody was paying attention, this past Derby, they removed Brett Hankerson from my lawsuit. Just here in Louisville, removed my lawsuit. But I still have the lawsuit against, but I don't have an attorney because no attorney will represent me. And that judge got involved with the Breonna Taylor case because it lawsuit in place. When they killed Breonna Taylor, Breonna's lawyers reached out to me because they seen that I went through everything that Breonna went through, but I'm alive. So they reached out to me about how dirt I had.
Okay. All right. Can you give us those that don't know, just 30 seconds on who Sam Aguilar is?
Sam Aguiar, believe it or not, he's a local ambulance chaser here in Louisville, Kentucky. He should have never got the job for the Breonna Taylor. Got it. He didn't have doing, so he reached out to me and hired me and asked me out with this case. And I put the whole case together. I solved it. I gave him the case file back, and he paid me $18,000 as I was working, Next thing, when it was time for the decision on the money and the decision for the judge, he had just stopped talking to me. But then after he made the decision to trade my evidence for money, then he called me and then basically tried to apologize, trying to pay me off to be quiet. And I told him, no, I'm not taking the money. I said, you told me about justice, and it wasn't about justice. This was all. So that's pretty much what happened.
Okay, you're cutting in and out on the volume on occasion.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. It's just it's like I heard, can you hear me? And then the next part I didn't.
I don't know. I can hear you on my end, so I'm not sure what's going on your end. But make a long story.
We're good. Just as I said, we're good. You cut out again.
Make a long story short, Sam Aguiar is Breonna Taylor's family attorney, and he represented Breonna Taylor's family as far as the settlement side and getting the money. And he combined with Benjamin Crump, Until Freedom, Lonita Baker, and a few others here locally. And I was on the legal team, but for some reason they tried to hide me. In fact, I was the MVP of that case, of the Breonna Taylor case.
Okay. All right. Now I can, you mentioned, and I should have brought this up, but it just dawned on me. You mentioned the cadet and being out in the protests, and some people I've heard say you had nothing to do with the protests. I've watched footage from 3 different streams, and I'm almost 100% certain that I saw you. I believe one time with a megaphone leading a whole bunch of people in the protests, either night 1 or night 2.
Yeah, believe it or not, I was one of the protest leaders. In fact, I know for a fact I was the best protest leader out there. Nobody was making the moves that I was making as far as being strategic. I did a lot of great things as far as being a protest leader, but also as I was out there, I was observing things, and I started realizing that even the protesters had been infiltrated and they had began to be bought. I led the biggest protest march that we had here in Louisville. I mean, it had to be. I put the number at 10,000. I could be just a little bit short, or I could be a little bit more than 10,000. But we was on Broadway, and I looked back, and the people went back as far as I could see, as far as I can see. And I was leading that march. I led a lot of marches, but that one right there was real powerful. So yes, I participated in the protest. I gave a lot of great speeches. I led a lot of people. And as soon as I left the protest, believe it or not, that protest completely, it died out. It died out.
And just for points of reference, when the NFAC came to Louisville, they were there twice. The first formation, the Supreme Commander Grandmaster Jay gave his speech on the steps of the court building there. Where were you that day?
Believe it or not, I had a front row seat. I was right there. But I got a cool story about that. Before Grandmaster Jay gave a speech on those steps, I gave a speech on those steps.
Yeah.
And nobody had really been messing with those steps. But one day there was an event put together, and me, along with some high school students, what's the guy's name? The black guy's name? I can't even think of his name right now. The black guy, I think he ran for senator here locally in Kentucky, Charles Booker.
Yeah.
Charles gave a speech. I gave a speech all in the same day. And if you was to listen to our speech, my speech beside Charles Booker's, you'll realize those people was playing politics. I was dead serious. Like, I lit it on fire. I was dead serious. And to answer your question, when Grandmaster Jay came and gave a speech on those exact steps that me and Charles had already previously spoke on, I was right there. I was right up front, and I got to listen to him. And believe it or not, his speech made me have a major issue with him, because he made everybody raise their hand, and then we swore in, right? All the people out there. And then in his speech, he said that he promises to be here for the city for black on black crime, police brutality. He promised a lot of things that he was going to be here for. But then they got up and they left. And then when they left, not only did they leave, Louisville broke a record as far as murders.
Yeah.
2020 in our city broke a record for the murder rate. We had never seen murder rate do what it did that year. And I'm sitting back in the back of my mind thinking, where's Grandmaster Jay? He said he would be here for black on black crime, and he's not nowhere to be found.
Okay, fair enough. Where's Louisville at right now?
Louisville's a
21.
Louisville's a lost city, very, very lost city. The violence is extremely high. I think we've had, if I'm not mistaken, 16 people killed in 16 days. There's a streak going on right now. The number as far as murders here, we're on the verge of breaking the record for last year. Our politicians are all a joke. If you look at the candidates that we got running for mayor, just a bunch of people that are corrupt, a bunch of people who are not deserving to even be in the race, let alone be the mayor. We have corruption running all through our police department. We got this new woman that's supposed to be cleaning up the city. She's clueless. She still got officers working for the Louisville Police Department that participated in the Breonna Taylor murder, which is sad. Our court systems is a joke. Everything in the city, it's a cesspool, and it's sad, but it's just the truth. Daniel Cameron is still in place as our attorney general. How is that possible? I don't know. Mayor Greg Fisher is still our mayor. How is that possible? I don't know. David James is still in position with being our Metro Council president. How is that possible? I don't know. They dropped the ball on the world's #1 case. A lot of people don't let that sink in. The Breonna Taylor case was the world's #1 case at one point. And these people here in Kentucky, not only did they drop the ball, but anybody, it doesn't take a rocket scientist, anybody that goes beneath the surface and just digs a little bit into this case, you're going to see nothing but corruption and lies. And nobody has been held accountable. Absolutely nobody. So to answer your question, Louisville's a cesspool. That's where we at right now. A cesspool full of corruption.
Do you think, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, federal charges have been brought against an officer for something during one of the protests? Do you think that a federal investigation is going to find it? Or look? You're saying if they look, they're going to find. If they dig a little bit, they're going to find. Do you think they're going to look?
Well, I think the feds is in on it. I called the feds the other night on Facebook Live. So I called the feds last year. I only called them a few times. The feds hangs up on me. They won't tell you if the Breonna Taylor case is open or closed. And that's very, very weird. And then anytime I try to get them some information about the Breonna Taylor case, they hang up on me.
I was going to ask if you'd gone to the FBI. That was my very next question. So keep going.
I went to the FBI. I just called them 2 nights ago. There's only been maybe one FBI person that actually listened to me. But then after he was done listening to me, he said, you got to call the FBI in Louisville. I'm like, why would I have to call them in Louisville when I just talked to you? At the end of the day, why would I report something to people who, I'm telling you, my whole city is corrupt? So I got to go outside the city. And then that's where this jurisdiction thing comes into play. But at the end of the day, I believe the FBI is in on it, because how is it that I don't got the instruments they got, but I got this case solved? I had this case solved last year, but yet they haven't made no announcement at all. And it's almost like they're not even going to make an announcement. The city of Louisville has been recused of the Breonna Taylor case, meaning there can't be no justice handed out through the Louisville. But the FBI can make an announcement. I wrote a letter to the Supreme Court months ago, back in January. They haven't responded. I've done everything possible to do what I got to do as far as what I've been taught as an American, to take steps and go up, the chain of command. But I'm not getting no response or the feedback that I should be getting to make me have faith in this country. I feel like the whole country is corrupt, all the way to the top, all the way going up to the Supreme Court. Because one thing that shocked me, Doofus, and I know you've been in the political world, you've ran for things. One thing that blew my mind, it was one particular thing that stood out. There was a debate going on between Donald Trump and Joe Biden, right? And at the time, you know how the debates go. They normally air out each other's dirt, and they air out party dirt. Well, when they was debating, Joe Biden never attacked Donald Trump for Daniel Cameron's bad work in Kentucky as far as being the AG in the Breonna Taylor case. And I found that very weird, because they started getting so petty that they started talking about each other's son. And I'm sitting right here in the back of my mind, I'm like, why would you attack his son, Biden, when you can actually bring up the Attorney General, AG, a case that the whole world knows about, and you can point out how this Republican AG dropped the ball in Kentucky and is full of corruption, and then stir that towards the Republican Party, but he didn't do that. So that let me know that they're all in on it. They all in on it. It never got brought up during the debates. Never. How bad that Republicans, because you got to think, Daniel Cameron is at the top when it comes to the Republican Party here in Kentucky. And also Kentucky is a Republican state. But yet you don't point out all this corruption that went on in this Republican state which is ultimately going to fall on Donald Trump. Biden didn't touch it at all. So that let me know they was all in it together.
Well, that I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna say you're wrong. I'm just gonna say, just because Joe Biden didn't mention it, he's not the sharpest tool in the shed. I'll just say that. But I do get what you're saying. If it would have been somebody savvy, they would have and should have brought that fact up on a national stage and confronted the then president of the United States about it. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, it's not like this was just a case. This was the world's #1 case. You could have used when you in a debate, you got to be able to make it to where the masses understand. And the Breonna Taylor case is one thing that the whole world could understand. And Biden didn't use it at all. And so for me, I felt like, okay, there's something going on behind closed doors where they've made some type of agreement that they're not going to talk about this stuff.
Have you gone to the Southern Poverty Law Center? Have you contacted them, the Southern Poverty Law Center?
Sir, I have. Is that, sir?
It's basically they brought the KKK down. They're a small, very dedicated group for civil rights and protection. Just Google Southern Poverty Law Center, and okay. And I think they've got a tab for contact us or legal assistance or something. Let them know what's going on. They do have, even though they're not really well known in the public, in the political world, in the legal world, they are they're heavy hitters.
Yeah, I'll definitely look into it because I tell you what, man, we got a lot of organizations, Doofus, here in Louisville, Kentucky. We got like the Kentucky Alliance. We got so many different organizations. I can't even think about the name. Urban League. We got so many organizations here in Louisville, and absolutely zero, I mean zero, has reached out to try to help me with anything. And I found it to be so weird, man, because I'm like, there's got to be somebody out there, like an organization that you just named, that's willing to help, because nobody, I mean, black or white, in the city of Louisville or the state of Kentucky is interested. And I have nothing but facts and truth. And I can prove everything I say.
Contact them. Okay. Back to you're talking about all the murders and all the killings that have been happening. Some prominent protest leaders and some beloved figures in the protest movement have been killed.
Right.
Do you think, is that part of all of this corruption? Was it like a statement that, Travis Nagy, all right, was what happened to Travis orchestrated by somebody who was just a random act? You know what I'm saying? There are tons of questions about Louisville.
I'll say this, Travis was built up. I hate to get into this whole sacrifice thing, but there's some stuff that I know and some things that I know about Travis's stuff. It was clearly a sacrifice. This guy was built up to be killed. And there are some people who participated in this man's murder. And it's sad. It's something you might not know about this doofus. Travis was so close to Tamika D. Mallory and all these people who traveled with them, went to New York. He wore their clothing, their jackets, and all that stuff, right? Don't you know Travis, to this day, does not have a monument? He doesn't have nothing on his gravesite, and that's horrible. And his mama, just less than a month ago, reaching out to me to try to get me to help out with this stuff. And I've been helping out. I raised a little money or whatever for him, but I also told his mom, because I'm not 100% sure what's going on with her, because I just found out that his mother is attached to David Maurer. Like, he's representing her, which David Maurer is the local attorney that's
I know who David is, yeah.
Right, he's super corrupt. So on that note,
I didn't know he was corrupt. David Maurer's corrupt?
Oh my God. I mean, it's insane. David Maurer has never done civil rights work in his life, ever. But when Breonna Taylor got killed, all of a sudden, he's boots on the ground, right? And
Yeah, that's how I've always observed him. That's why I was shocked when you said he's corrupt, because I've seen him out there doing nothing but looking after protesters.
he's controlling the narrative on the ground. I want you to think about this, doofus. All right. He's super corrupt. I want to break this down to you. When Breonna Taylor got killed, doofus, Summer Dickerson gave a statement, okay, to Daniel Cameron's detectives, okay? Now, when Summer Dickerson gave a statement to Daniel Cameron's detectives, guess who was there present with her as her attorney?
David Maurer.
David Maurer. This is before. So my thing is this. All these people, witnesses that gave statements, none of them had their attorneys present. The only one who had an attorney present as they gave a statement was Summer Dickerson. And then if you go listen to her statement, which I have it, that she gave to the grand jury and her testimony to the grand jury, it was a straight lie. Everything was a lie. But then you got this fly sitting there and listening to everything, David Maurer. So then Summer and David Maurer, they go down to the protests. And now they're controlling the narrative on the ground with the protesters. And then Summer gets the job at being a 502 live streamer. She has no media history or anything when it comes to being a media person, but then she gets a press pass. And then next thing you know, Summer and David are involved in everything. And then next thing you know, Summer and David are leading the attack against me. David and Summer led that attack against me. David went and convinced Breonna Taylor's mother to send me a cease and desist letter. And David Maurer told Breonna Taylor's mother, David got her to say she's his lawyer. So now David Maurer is representing Tamika Palmer. And a lot of people don't understand this about David Maurer. Do you not know he was the police chief here in Louisville's power of attorney? David Maurer was. A lot of people don't know that David Maurer used to be a cop. A lot of people don't know that David Maurer's brother is a Fed. A lot of people don't know that David Maurer used to be the attorney for the Shavley Police Department, FOP. He used to be the attorney for the FOP. So this dude's whole history is cop, 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 cop. But then when Breonna Taylor gets killed, he's all of a sudden civil rights, civil rights, civil rights. No, I'm sorry, buddy. You infiltrated all these people. And if you look into his history and you pay attention to what he's done with the protesters' cases, because there's been multiple protesters that call cases, he sabotaged them. I just now took one of his clients from him. You don't know this doofus, and maybe you need to do a story with this young lady. There was a lady, a couple weeks before the decision came out with the Breonna Taylor case, there was a Black woman here in Louisville in September that was walked around our jails naked, and she was shown to other inmates. Those officers got suspended for 3 days for doing that to her. David Maurer was her attorney. You know, that man never told nobody. You know who broke that story? I broke the story. She ended up leaving him because you know what he tried to do? He tried to get her to settle for $75,000. On top of that, those cops still got their job. And they walked this girl around naked, and guess what, doofus? It's on camera. And David Maurer would not get a copy of the video footage and give it to the young lady. David Maurer started talking to the young lady about money. She said, I didn't hire you for money. I hired you because they told me I couldn't get a copy of that tape unless I got an attorney. I hired you for this tape. He wouldn't get it. You know what happened? She ended up telling me a story. I found out about it. David Maurer is no longer her attorney. David Maurer has done nothing but hide the truth for what's really going on here in Louisville.
Okay. I honestly, I planned to end the question, or to end with asking what I'm about to ask, but I think there's a lot more we need to talk about, man.
Most definitely. Most definitely.
Would you be available, and would you be interested in doing like a live tomorrow night?
Doofus, for somebody like yourself who does honest, real work, somebody like yourself who's interested in getting the truth, I'm available anytime you need me.
I appreciate that. Let's end this, and because we've been going about 45 minutes or so, let's end this and do a live tomorrow night. Are you good at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time?
Yeah, I'll be available.
All right, we'll do a live tomorrow night. It'll be the first live interview I've ever done.
Gotcha.
I'm going to get some new software, and we'll do a live. And we won't. I'm not going to have anybody else join. I'm not going to, backstab you or sabotage. Or there's not going to be anybody. It's still just going to be you and me, and we'll do it live, and people can comment. Not that we'll pay attention to them, but we'll let them have their voice. So the last thing I was going to ask was, people have the number one question that I've gotten since I put it out there, and since you put it out there on Facebook that we were going to be doing this interview, was, why doesn't he just do the 60 days and get this all out of the way? I think with what you've been telling us, it's kind of easy to see why you don't want to be any part of that system at all, because you got stuff on all of them.
Right.
It would not be good for you. So I see why you're fighting so hard. I have a better understanding of why you're fighting so hard.
Well, to answer that question, and there's a couple answers to that. For one, I'm sure you probably never been, but most people who've been to jail, they know jail is one of the dirtiest places out there. And last time I checked, this world has been affected by a virus that if you don't properly sanitize, you can catch this virus and be killed. A lot of people don't know this. Multiple people have died in the Louisville jail just this year alone. And there's speculation of why they died. And I'm not about to go in there and test why they died, but several people have died in the Louisville jails. Also, people must understand that the world's number one case. I'm the one person who know the truth, and I'm not scared to tell the truth. You don't hear nobody else out there exposing what I'm exposing. And the people that I'm exposing are the people who run the jail, the people who are on the same team. If I go into a jail, people must understand that I'm officially crossing the blue line. Officially crossing the blue line. There's nothing that they can get out of me or they want from me other than me being silent. They know I'm not going to be quiet. The only way to keep me silent is kill me. So it's like when you go to war. If you capture a leader and you can't get nothing from that leader, why would you leave them alive? They're going to kill a leader. And somebody like me who has the information that I have, they want me dead. I know that. People don't have to believe that. I know that. And so I don't turn myself in for COVID. I don't turn myself in for the simple fact I know they're going to try to kill me. And then on top of that, I don't turn myself in because I'm not guilty of anything. They falsified charges on me. I've never called Summer Dickerson's phone in my life. I never wrote her. I've been at her job or anything. I sat down in my house every single day and I exposed the fact that her real name was Amber Dawn Duncan when she testified before the grand jury. And her real name is Amber Dawn Duncan, but she testified before the grand jury as Summer Dickerson. And I was exposing that the only reason why she got to use an alias because she's really a confidential informant. She didn't like that. She falsified stalking charges on me, and the judge stuck it to me. On that note, I know I did nothing wrong. How can I catch stalking charges when I've never called her, never been to her house? All I did is sit in my kitchen and break down the case. So why would I turn myself in? Just because a judge says turn yourself in, you need to go do time. I get it. That judge worked hard to get in the position that she's in, but she got it wrong that day. The judge, what she did was 100% wrong. And in my opinion, it was racist because she wouldn't have did that to a white person. There is not a white person in the world that can catch stalking charges from a black woman because they was sitting in their kitchen talking about a black woman. They're not going to catch those charges. It's never happened. I looked it up. It's never happened. My case stands alone.
Wow. And we'll end it on that. And we'll pick it back up tomorrow night at 8 o'clock.
Yeah. Hey, and before we end it, let me explain something to you, Doofus.
Yeah.
If you're a judge, let's just say you're a judge, right?
Okay.
And I pulled a gun out right now and I shot my phone. I pointed at you and I shot my phone. Would I be charged with attempted murder?
No.
Exactly. So why is it
You'd
that
be
when
charged with killing your phone.
exactly. So why is it that when I was on a Zoom app in court, I cuss, I get charged with contempt of court? I wasn't in court. That's unfair because here's the thing. If I would have shot my phone, you wouldn't charge me with attempted murder. So how is it that you can charge me with contempt of court? It's the same thing. It's unfair. That's why we shouldn't be having court over a Zoom app. This stuff happened over a Zoom app. You can't charge me with contempt of court because you know what? I was in my house. I'm allowed to cuss in my house. And my house does not belong to the courtroom. You can't say my house is a courtroom. I'm sorry, you can't. And on top of that, you never laid any rules out as far as this whole Zoom thing. There's no bailiff, there's no anybody showing, no sheriff or anything. It doesn't even feel like court. It feels like I'm talking to a person like I'm talking to you. So on that note, the contempt of court is in violation of our Constitution. Because if you go read the Fifth Amendment carefully, Doofus, which you're going to realize they cannot turn my house into a courtroom. That is illegal. And that's why there's only X amount of states that's doing this Zoom court. The other states are not doing it because they have people and citizens in their state that know that's illegal. This whole thing is illegal. You cannot do Zoom court. That's illegal. And that's why I won't talk, because I know that.
All right. You got great perspectives and interesting perspectives when it comes to legalities. Anything you want to end on before we wrap it up?
No, I just want to tell you thank you, man. I love interviewing with you. I think you do a great job, man. And I want to tell you thank you. I know you've been kind of sitting back, seeing some of the things that's going on. So you come to get your own report instead of charming in and getting involved with the mess. You come in stuff. So I say thank you for that.
My pleasure. I don't want, I'm not one looking for smoke or mess or
Right.
that. If I did it, I'd make a whole lot of money. But it ain't about money. It's about advancing. It's truly about advancing people.
And I'll say this to you, Doofus, because like I said, I know you've ran for things. I feel like this. If we are going to talk about each other, why are people scared to debate me on a public platform? And I'm talking about an organized debate to where we got mediators. If people have an issue with me, from me to you, Doofus, and all your followers, I'm willing to debate anybody, but I want to do it in the right format. People want to me, well, let's get together and do it, because what I see is, especially with people with the same color skin as me, people have the know-how how to put together a YouTube channel, but nobody has the know-how to put together an organized debate. And all these so-called leaders and people who have issues with me, debate me. And I'll bring my facts versus what you think. And I promise I'll come out on top every single time.
This just kind of popped into my head. What maybe we ought to think about doing, Kendrick, is getting some kind of something like that together. Try to bring together 4 or 5 different points of views, people that disagree, and I'll moderate the thing, and we charge people to watch it, and all the money goes to getting a headstone for Travis Nagy.
We can do that. I'm down with whatever. I think you would make a great moderator, though. I think you'd be great because I've never seen you. I've seen multiple. I've never seen you be biased towards anything. You just listen, and if you got a question, you ask. But I've never seen you be like just biased. So I think you'll be a great mediator.
The only time I haven't been able to be completely fair and just was in the George Floyd thing, because that was just. I was one-sided there. If they do not find this man guilty, I'm going to be as pissed as anybody. Right. And most of the time I'm not like that, but that was so reprehensible that that humanity outrides everything, even trying to be a respectable journalist.
Right. But even with that though, Doofus, I know you let people present their argument for Siobhan. You wasn't the type person to say, no, I don't want to hear it. I just, whatever you said was right. You had your opinion and you stuck to your opinion, but your opinion did not make you turn into the person that you don't want to hear Siobhan's argument. And that's what I mean by you're not biased and you're not controlling narratives. Like you have your own opinion. We all do. Yeah. But you listen to Siobhan's argument and what other people got to say about that. And I appreciate that about you.
All right. We'll talk tomorrow night at 8 o'clock.
Okay, bro. You have a good one.
I look forward to it.